Hello, all. Welcome. Glad that you all have joined us here today. Welcome to H&D Abroad. I am Herman. I am one half of the duo of H&D Abroad, where here on this channel, I and my wife Dee share our journey experience to move abroad in real time so that we can build um, I'm tired today, losing my mind. We can build generational wealth and healthy living through an opportunity to move abroad. And we want Black couples to be able to see this same opportunity as a plan A. If this sounds interesting to you or sounds like something you can be involved in, we ask that you would hit the like on this video as always, subscribe to the channel, and as always, hit the notification bell because we want you to be able to be aware when we go live. We go live every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. I do a few Man Mondays every 6 to 7 p.m. On Monday nights, and Dee has Women's Health on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we really want you to be a part of our community. It's how we grow. It's how we learn. So I drop it in a little bit today just to give a little thoughts on this Man Monday on moving forward in our personal growth conversation that we began a couple of weeks ago. First, I want to say hi to Steve. Good to see you, Stephen. Glad that you're here. Anybody else that's here, we ask that you would drop in the chat. Let us know that you're participating, being a part of the conversation. We're always glad when you come because this is a conversation. And how we communicate and interact together makes this a really great conversation. So the title of my little thought tonight is why men should go on a self-love journey. We tend to think of self-love. We hear self-love. You think of people in meditation. You think of yoga. Very easily, you might think of women and their easiness to find themselves and self-love. But I think it's also important that we as men spend some time in a self-love journey. So what does that mean to me? Where am I trying to implement that in my personal experience and personal life? I think the importance of a self-love. What is a self-love journey? I would define that as time spent getting to know oneself and then affirming oneself towards your higher purpose, your higher goal. What is your intention in life? What is your purpose in life? When you can't love yourself, it is, in my opinion, impossible to be fully loving to anyone else. If you don't appreciate yourself, if you don't provide time for yourself to grow and to heal, then you aren't at your best to being a benefit to those to whom you want to care for and love. One of the first ways to do that might be to find your authentic self. Okay, so that's a bit of that can be a journey all its own. When we're kids, as boys, we dream of being all the great great careers that we want to be firefighters, we want to be cops, we want to be athletes, we want to be builders. There's all the things, and as we grow and we learn about ourselves, we develop our skills, we develop our interests, we develop our hobbies. Some who really maximize that time can really build on the loves of their lives towards happy careers. A lot of times we find skills that we can do or tasks that we can do, and we dig into that process, and that's where we dig into the living in that existence. And it isn't always a true picture of the man we desire to be or the man we can be. A lot of times we don't even recognize that we're out of step with our higher calling, our greater purpose, because we're trying to just make things work, make ends meet. And so we dig into a space and say, well, my job is, and a job is not always a passion. So finding our authentic selves requires spending time being quiet with yourself and asking yourself several questions, I think. One, what makes you happy? I used to do job development, and the clients that I served came from various backgrounds. They were generally in some form of rehabilitation, and that came from sometimes they were a learning disability. Sometimes they had a physical ailment which impaired their ability to work in some fields. Sometimes it was a return from substance abuse, or some time being incarcerated. And they would sit down at my desk and say, I need a job. And I would always ask them, if all of the obstacles, all of the challenges, all of the education, if all the things that potentially you see stand in your way were non-existent, what would be the job you wanted to have? And it was really interesting how broad a spectrum of interest and desire that people had towards work that a lot of times they didn't have skills towards. And even if I could not provide necessarily that job for them, I always tried to work towards finding something that represented that gave them an opportunity to be in that environment, if it was possible. I have found as an employer, as a manager, that when someone desires to do something and desires to learn something, often they are a better employee than people who are trained to do something, because they have a passion towards it. And when you are passionate towards some part of your life, some area of your life, something that makes you feel alive and makes you be who you are, you dig into that process, you really go for it. And so when you find your authentic self, you say, what do I want to capture? What makes me happy? What makes me passionate? What would I love to do for a long time? What do I do easily that does not feel like work or stress or burden? And those are questions towards, I think, finding your authentic self. Um, Next part in your self-love journey, I think, is to find strength in your own growth. Um, Last week, a couple of weeks ago, when I met with you, I talked about I'm still growing, and we can often find ourselves disappointed or disillusioned because we aren't where we believe we should be, or where the world says we should be at a certain point. I'm finding in a lot of my peers that at 50, we're often just getting our rhythm right. Um, and if we're honest with the timetable of life, 50 is well past what is often midlife for most people. We consider it midlife, like, we got another 50 years to go, but often 50 years we got a third of our lives in front of us sometimes. But often we are just getting our stride in recognizing the joys that help us to be who we want to be, to seek and find the things that interest us, and that when we give back to the world, we provide a light through that passion, through that joy. And so I think it's important that you recognize where you are on your growth chart. Um, and that you say, here's my high expectation. Here's some of my realism expectations. Here's kind of where I've put myself, and I need to find a higher. I need to see myself, give myself more credit than this low bar I've set for myself. When you, I tell D all the time, when we try to finish our day by saying to each other or saying to ourselves, I did good work today. And that can be hard to say when you're looking at your to-do list, and your to-do list says you didn't finish this, you didn't accomplish that, you didn't do this, you didn't make this up, you didn't. But if when you put our heads down and say, I committed into the process today, and I gave what I had today, and I showed up when I was supposed to show up today, and you start off with, I did good today, I grew today, I learned today, you provide yourself an opportunity to heap positivity on yourself that lightens you. The story of the donkey that fell in the well, and the guy couldn't get his donkey out of the well, so he decided to bury him in the well. So he dug dirt and threw it in the well. He would close the well because the well was inactive, and it'd be twofold. He'd bury his beloved donkey and close the well. What he did not know is the donkey shook that dirt off and stomped it down. And he stomped that dirt down until he walked his own self out of the well. And sometimes we have to recognize that even in all the stuff falling on us, that we can use that as a growth process underneath our feet to get out of where we are. So you have to find strength in your own growth. In connection to that, I think we need to honor who we are and where we are in our journey. I am an engager. I am an empath. I am someone who has had to learn to, in sharing energy, also protect my energy, but do so in a way that does not take away what I believe is my God-given talent to share joy to the world, to share out. I've had to learn ways to protect myself, but not in a way that I then become defensive or so enclosed that I lose. They say, dim your own light. I have to also be in this self-love journey, be able to say, I need time away. This is too much. This is taking more from me than I have to give or that I'm willing to give. And move into quiet time for myself so that if I'm going to share out, I actually have energy to give. When you honor that and are proud of who you are, again, you're putting positivity on yourself to say, I am growing in this space. I am learning. I am committing to moving forward in my growth and self-actualization. The next thing I would say is to see your uniqueness. You are not the same as everybody else. What makes you who you are? What makes what when people identify the you, do they use the same words often? Or do they, oh, that's just that guy? Or that's, have you lost the uniqueness that is the person that you were meant to be? The little things that you do to find fun. My wife has been encouraging me to get back to writing. She's like, I don't see your stories. I don't see your poetry. Being creative in the kitchen. I am a creative. I was born to creatives, and we gave birth to creatives. And as men, we can lose time to invest in that creative space. That exemplifies that personifies the unique person that we are. And I want to encourage you to reclaim that uniqueness, to say, again, as I said a minute ago, this is who I am. I like this about me. I like this about me. I like that I make people laugh. I like that when people need something, I'm available. I like that I'm a good leader. Whatever your attributes are, be emboldened by the uniqueness of that persona, of that personality, of that person that you are, and build on that in part of your growth journey. I think this is one that's really important, and that's, don't depend on the affirmation. Don't let affirmation from others be your building block. In a self-love journey, you have to say, hey Dave, good to see you. Hey Lori Butler, good to see you as well. In a self-love journey, you have to look inward to find joy. You have to look inward to find positivity. You have to look inward to find optimism. And when you are entrenched in getting your affirmation and your joy from outside sources, then you don't know how to be happy. You don't know how to have joy when those things go bad. And they can and they will. that it doesn't matter how popular you are. There are times when you are not the popular person. And I have found that popular people often find themselves lonely and alone. What's going on, Melon Man Travels? Good to see you. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And you can be in a crowd and be lonely. And you can be alone and be just as happy as you want to be if you have internal joy. When you depend on, I encourage young people when they're dating, they say, he makes me happy. She makes me happy. Do they make you happy or do they enhance your happiness? Are you happy when they're not with you? It's okay to say, I miss I miss my wife when she's away from me. I can tell the absence when she's not here. But am I happy myself? Am I content with who I am myself? There's some things I don't like to do alone. I enjoy a good meal with company. I think that there's a conversation aspect to eating with others. But sometimes it's okay to sit quiet and enjoy a plate of something that you enjoy, even if it's just a dessert, even if it's just, a plate of fresh fruit. That personal time when you say, I'm okay with me. Dee has been encouraging me to take a solo trip. and I, as I've expressed before, I'm working through accepting that concept in my head, because there are some things that I have just seen as interactive events, interactive engagement. There's a sense of adventure that happens differently when you have people to express thoughts with, express concepts with. And I'm recognizing that being quiet in my spirit, being quiet in my spirit, being quiet in my expectations, is about not running away from sometimes the noise I think that's in my head. And I think sometimes that's it. Is there's a measure of running away. That is the quiet going to bring up all the demons? Is the quiet going to bring up the fear? Is the quiet going to bring up the anxiety? And but being honest with the fact that sometimes the quiet is necessary to answer the questions, to address the issues, to really say, I'm hurting here, or I want to grow here, or these are my goals for myself. We can mask addressing those things in, what do other people want me to do? How do other people say I should feel? What positive interaction do I get from other people? And when you decide, I'm going to love myself and seek for myself and be quiet by myself, you've got to shut out the world. You got to shut out the hiding and go toe to toe with whatever shows up. And it isn't always pretty. It isn't always fun, but undealt with doesn't mean it goes away. If you don't go to the doctor and have thorough physical exams, you won't know something's wrong. Even if you know something's wrong, ignoring it doesn't change the fact that something's wrong. And that can be anxiety inducing, that can be overwhelming, that can be fear inducing, but it does not have to be debilitating. I lost track of the name of the author. It was a guy I read a few years ago. I was talking about men and fathers, and he mentioned going on a trip to some indigenous peoples and doing the like a hallucinogenic meditative time. They locked them down in a like a yurt, a tent, and they threw water on the Samuel Osterson. Yes, that's what it was. Samuel Osterson, Wrestling with Love. How men struggle with intimacy, women and children and parents and each other. And he said that they poured water on the stones, and the heat and the perspiration and spending time in that tent, it got you to a hallucinogenic state. And all the fear came rushing in. All of the anger came rushing in. All of the anxiety of life. And it's easy to run away from that, to say, I don't want to deal with that. So everybody, tell me how great I am. Tell me how funny I am. Tell me how much you enjoy me. And we go social media on the world. And when I say that, that means, everybody sees the good stuff. Everybody sees the good times. And we don't recognize that sometimes it's gone to hell in a handbasket. But if you don't spend time digging for that, learning for that, trying to find that, then you won't know. Homemade asked the question here: do married men feel safe traveling solo? That's a loaded question. That's a loaded question. And I don't think it's safety in the sense of, do I fear someone's going to get me? I think always, as Black men in particular, there's a measure of apprehension about, will I be seen in a negative light, and will people, harass me in some way, and I'll be alone and I have nobody to help me defend myself. I think a lot of married men are worried about how they are perceived. Why are you somewhere without your wife? Well, what are you up to? Questions abound that make continue to hide in the known and the expected. But if you are committed to a trusting partner and you have made yourself trustworthy, then that trip is about your growth, and you know that, and they know that and accept that. So I think that worrying about the safety of the traveling is about our expectations on ourselves, and what we put on ourselves, what we say to ourselves, what we accuse ourselves of, and we blanket that with affirmations from other people. Um, Finally, I want to say, be honest about where you are today. Um, Today, I recognize we just came back from a house sit, and we've been home one less than 24 hours, and I already recognize my apprehension about going back to some of the daily requirements of life. I feel it in my energy and in my spirit. That has been very compelling to me today because it says to me that I have a lot of work to do towards finding the sources of things that no matter where I am, I still feel at my emotional best, that I feel at my greatest mental health wise. And maybe the things that I have to deal with on a daily basis are interfering with that higher setting, that greater purpose, that higher joy. And I have to put behind me the waiting, because there's no time to wait. I have to put behind me the apprehensions and the questions and say, okay, today is the day. I need to make these calls today. I need to talk to these people. I need to make these investments today towards this future. And I got to be aggressive about it. Today, I have to spend some quiet time and I pour my emotions out onto paper. Today, I want to spend some time and create something amazing in the kitchen that's new and inviting and share that with the world. And be okay with making a mistake. Um, be okay with hurting, with being unsure, because recognition of those things help potentially to move forward. Um, Great question, Shabangale. What steps do you think men can take to begin a journey of self love? As I think one of the first things we had to do is take some time off. And when you take that time off is not about to do some things. A classic joke for men is on our off days, especially as married men or men that are in a relationship, is our days off are honeydew lists. I think you have to tell your loved ones, this is not my time for you. This is my time for me. Um, and that may require you going away. Something that I learned from my wife a couple of years ago. She had some time that she needed some time for herself. She didn't pack a bag and leave the country. She didn't pack a bag and leave the state. She went to a nearby Airbnb and spent some time quiet and turned off her phone. And and that spoke volumes to me, because what it said was that sometimes in your house, in your room, in your man cave, in your garage is not far enough away to be an alone personal time. I think another step towards that, Sambangale, is to be honest with yourself with what your needs are, and say to yourself and your partner, if you have one, I, I'm failing here. I have these dreams and I'm not having the time to meet these dreams. I have these expectations and ambitions and I don't have time to meet them. So I'm carving out this time. I'm carving out these days. I'm carving out this future. And then you have to commit to that. It's easy to write it down on paper. It's easy to write it down on paper. Um, um, but implementing, and it may require an accountability partner who is not your partner. It may require an accountability, somebody who comes and says, I'm driving you to whatever and I will drop you off. Or if you have a strong enough partner who says, get out, um, you, because a lot of times our honeydew list is self-imposed. That is absolutely the truth. I need to paint this. I need to fix this. I haven't been here, so I need to make sure this is going on. And we spend as many days on our off days fixing things or creating work to do that sometimes nobody asked us to do. Um, and and quiet time um, has to again be something you practice. I used to read a lot when I was a kid. Lot. I mean, it was. I'm surprised I didn't wear glasses early because my book was up on me and till the dark of the night in the dark with a flashlight in the closet. It was reading, and I can't tell you the last time I read a book. Can't tell you. Um, and there's an imagination, there is an engagement in that storyline that happens for me. And when you don't do that, you lose touch with that. And I think that those are important steps in taking that self love journey. Being okay with yourself. I am okay. And when you're not okay, saying I'm not okay. And one important thing that we always encourage on this channel is it is okay to talk to a professional about where you are and what you need and how you feel. And sometimes you need someone who helps you find the way to express where you are. Sometimes you don't recognize the pain that you're in, the loss that you're in, the stalemate that you're in, the stuck place that you're in. And somebody can help you navigate that and help you also find ways to express that to the people around you, because sometimes you have to tell the people around you to back up, back off, you know. And sometimes you need somebody to help you find the words to properly express your needs for growth and your needs for time for yourself. Be who you are, but you can't be who you are if you haven't taken time to find out who you are. Love yourself, but you can't love yourself if you haven't taken the time to spend time loving yourself. And then build a positive community. Sometimes being able to recognize self-love is because we don't have people around us. And this is different from the needing affirmation from others. Sometimes like an AA or NA meeting, you need people around you who say, we encourage you, we support you. We're not telling you where to go. We're not Sometimes we're telling you that you need to get off your butt and get in gear. But that community of honest and earnest people, sometimes it can be two, three people, sometimes a group of people, depending on who the people are in your life. But that encouragement, that active engagement of people in your life can push you towards making choices that otherwise you can find ways to talk yourself out of. I am working on building my friends. I learned really early how to uh, move through spaces and crowds of people and be present and absent at the same time. And I'm just recognizing it because I'm realizing just how much more I am on the absent side than I am in the present side as I'm getting older. So those are the things that I'm working on. Those are the things I'm encouraging you to explore in that self-love journey. I think it's important. Um, because there's still time to grow. It's never too late to be your best self. It's never too late to learn something new. Pick up a new hobby. Pick up a new new way to do something that you've been doing forever. Find a new way to do it if that's your thing. Change your environment so that you can expand your environment. That's just some thoughts, and it's where I am today. I appreciate y'all for coming through, hanging out with me a little while. Um, as we continue this growth learning process, I will be making contact with some of you. Melanin Man Travels, expect the email back from me, ready to talk. And let's continue to grow together as people, especially as men, especially as Black men. Encourage the Black men in your life. Encourage the men in your life as we continue to grow and to learn and to reclaim our authenticity. As we continue to reclaim our destiny. Um, Hug these young men when you see them on the street. Encourage them. Tell them that you have pride in them for surviving one day at a time. Uh, and encourage them to be the best themselves that they can be. I'm Herman. This is H&D Abroad. It's a pleasure as always to see you. Glad you came through. We'll do it again soon.